Shalom, Salama, Siemi, Shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, whether you are of the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you are a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahusha HaMashiach. Welcome. Welcome this morning. Oh, the storm's here. I'm about to be blown away, y'all. Not right now, just in a few more hours. Yeah, a few more hours, it'll start getting cloudy here. And, the funny thing is, the Weather Channel they didn't want to panic anybody because you panic folks here in Tampa. All sorts of ignorant stuff would just be going on, all sorts of craziness. So, of course, they'll only say something at the very, very end. And the models were predictable. So it was like, oh, well, it's going to be rapid intensification. Oh, well, it could go as far as, Pensacola. That thing was saying that hook, line, and sinker on Tampa. I'm like, yo, that storm is gonna pass right over me. I said that eye is actually gonna pass right over me. I said I am gonna be one of the ones. I want to look at that eye like and take some photos. I don't care. I'll post it right on Facebook. I'm doing Facebook Live. I don't even know if I got reception. So my weekend has been that weekend where I'm going on out, getting supplies, flashlights, chargers, portable chargers. Oh, hooking up things to get them juiced on up. Talking to the family to get a plan together in the case of an evacuation. But the crazy thing is, my evacuation plan, all of my family's in the middle of like the storm effects and the major hurricane storm effects. So yeah, family, I'm gearing up for either category 3 or 4 hurricane. And if that does happen, I'm gonna probably not be reporting for a while. So I wanted to make sure I got these on in there, before I get blown away in the storm. No, I'm messing with you. I'm not gonna get blown away. But this thing's about to be major. Yeah, how's Rwanda this time of year, HDK? Because the crazy thing, there's even a couple other storms right behind this storm. So, yeah. But no, it was interesting enough. There was an actual announcement made on the 24th. I think Putin made the announcement, but it wasn't really shared around social media um, as much as as much as uh, as much as they wanted to. A couple different outlets were sharing that, but no, it was a declaration, of um, what was going on in Ukraine. Yeah, so See, Atlanta looks like it's gonna be hit too. Yeah, yeah, so and then all that traffic on 75 and 95 is gonna start going crazy because it's gonna go right on up most of Florida. So, we'll see. It's not gonna be if there's any damage. The question is gonna be how much damage and then how long I'll have to be out of pocket, right? Or if this thing's gonna be like a Katrina, you know, which will be bad because Florida's kind of on a ridge line, and that ridge line goes, it's about like 50 feet. Oh, excuse me, not 50, it's like 50 miles in. And so if I can, I'm only about maybe 10 miles from that ridge line. So I'm really not too bad, but you know, if it brings up a storm surge in this area, Tampa will be flooded. Tampa will be done, and a lot of Tampa will be flooded and done. If it goes up the mouth, that's really the worst case scenario because when you have the storm surge going out, you also have a surge going coming in. You'll have a surge going out, and then that could actually backfill the mouth of the bay. There's a channel, and if that channel gets becomes shallow, you're right at the mouth, if its sandbar starts to form because things push in and then they push out, it'll be that will be devastating too because then that water will just naturally bowl up in the Tampa area, so that it wouldn't like really wouldn't really move the way that it needs to move. So these are bad worst case areas. And, and then, living here for a while, seeing all the homes that are, built on the water and everything else. That's why I said, look, I'll never have a home built on the water. A beach house, okay, yeah, that's fine. If I had the money for a beach house, but just to like live on like the bay and live in like those islands. Because I want to tell you, all of the mega, mansions and everything else that's in the mouth of the bay, they're all going to be affected. They're all going to flood, and they could potentially all be destroyed, which is crazy. Because I mean, like some of those homes are like, you know, 70, $80 million. Because that's one of the homes is where like Tom Brady lives on that. I think it was originally Derek Jeter's home, and at that time, it was like one of the most expensive homes in Tampa. But yeah, they want to live in that water, and I'm like, nah. The only time I really lived on the water was when I was on the base, when I was living on the base here at McDill, and that's like in the mouth. That's right in the mouth of the bay. So that will be messed up. They're already going to shut that down. And so the closer it gets, the more it's going to get. It's just going to get flooded all around here, and then it'll start going into other parts of Tampa. And really, what they're scared of, to be quite honest, what they're scared of is that flooding will go into the hood, you know, and then they won't be able to kind of containerize or round up black folks in the hood, right? So that's their fear. Their fear is that they'll leak on out to other places within the Florida countryside, and um, I want to say run amok. But when you get into these Florida countrysides, you'll start seeing the Trump flags and everything else, and all the MAGA craziness. You know, I'm only like I'm only like 10 miles from it. I'm only 10 miles from country. I literally am. Actually, I wouldn't say 10 miles, 10 minutes. And but still, even where I'm at, I'm on I'm on like a major river, and off of those rivers are a lot of the tributaries and the creeks. So so for me, I'm not necessarily concerned about the wind and everything else. I'm concerned about the flooding because it literally is a natural bowl where I'm at. There's a swamp. They call it like, reserves, literally north of me and south of me. And part of getting to those higher areas is that you have to go through that little bowl in that swamp. Um, and if you don't have the capacity to do so, or you get stuck in by fallen trees, yeah, that water will just sit. And if that water sits for any period of time, it'll be kind of messed up. Um, so these are all the scenarios and everything else that people are very fearful of. Um, for me, if anything, I'll just head north. I'll just head north. Yeah. Um, yeah, and Garth, where's the MAGA strip at in New Jersey? It won't be in North Jersey, it's where? It's in South Jersey. Oh, those animals in the Everglades, those animals are gonna be all right. They got more sense than humans here. They'll hunker behind some bushes, behind some trees, and call it a day. Yeah, yeah. But you also have the same thing when you're there in Savannah. Those winds will come off the Atlantic and then they'll push back, so you'll get all the waves and everything else. No, I wasn't talking about Mama. I was talking about like Gloucester County, Salem County, even some parts of Camden County. I'm talking about South Jersey, South Jersey, Cumberland County. Those ones. You know what I'm talking about. Those ones. Right by the peninsula. Cape May County, all those. Yeah, you may not have a reason to be there. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. The MAGA lights are there. That don't get it twisted. Yeah. Yeah, unless you go to AC and they know that's where they know that's where black folks are gonna go is to AC. They know that. Anywhere else up in them pine bands, nah, you're okay. Well, Southern Illinois and Chicago area is literally like Kankakee or Kankakee or whatever you want to call that, and south of Chicago. Everywhere else that's there is in northern Illinois, or excuse me, in Illinois, southern Illinois, that's the Lukey area. They literally consider that what is that, northern Kentucky or southern Indiana, depending on on how you want to call it. And yeah, there is nothing there, fam. Nothing there. Mm. So while all this stuff was going on, a lot of things actually did happen with my family, and um, I was very it that helped to build up a lot of uh it helped to have a lot of healing. There was a lot of healing, and I'm not gonna lie. It all started Monday night. I didn't even like I wasn't entertaining anything because sometimes, if you actually entertain foolishness, you're going to just get dragged down in the mud, right? And if you get drugged down in the mud, you're not going to be able to really um, be as effective, right, as you need to be. And see, we already have the tools to be effective in any type of spiritual fight, in any type of spiritual trial, right? But you have to be able to understand that when you go through any spiritual attack or struggle or fight, you have to be able to have the humility to not try to bring up anything that you think could solve the problem because see a lot of times what may sound simple naturally or what do they say any reasonable, right, we try to say reasonable speaking. Well, the thing is that sometimes, the enemy wants you to try to use that reasonable approach, and then you fall right into the trap that the enemy was stating. Because, see, sometimes things that we think may be good may be the trap that the enemy has laid out for us because we really don't know or understand all of the spiritual components to this. So last week, my cousin had called. She's taking care of my dad in South Florida, and there was issues because my dad has some, he has some substantial medical issues. And, if you have someone that's in denial, and I'm going to say this because I know that there are others that are here that are taking care of loved ones that have these issues. We do that. We're called upon time to time to take care of loved ones. That's just what our families do. I've seen that both on my dad's side and on my mom's side. When I had to take care of my grandmother, my great grand aunt, multiple people would be coming in and out of the house, especially when I was living with my grandmother back in my childhood, because we all took care of family in one form or another. And so for this forum, she said, "Yeah, there's other things going on," and it was like, "All right, well, we'll be able to kind of get this knocked out because we were already anticipating a short stay anyway, with just some of the things that we were working on." So, so lo and behold, I get the call Monday night, and this is literally like a day or so after um, one of my dogs had died, and I'm still trying to figure this thing on out. It's like how could my dog have died? So there's like a lot of things going on. And then it was well, I needed to come on down and get my dad on Friday. There's problems. And then the next day is no, there's no longer any problems. And then on Thursday, then the Friday there was problems. And then that proceeded into this weekend as I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the physical storm. There is a spiritual storm that was already forming. So I didn't realize that the spiritual hurricane was already forming and that hit Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But let me tell you, all throughout that time, when I first saw that spiritual form on the horizon, let me tell you what I did. I ran straight into my prayer closet. I ran straight to my prayer closet, and honestly, I was upset. I was a little shocked. I was taken in anger, and so I said, Father, I said, I give these to you. I give these emotions to you because I don't want to be emotional, dealing with this because I know that this is an attack from the enemy, and I want to be able to be a blessing and not a hindrance in this. And I want this to be done in humility because when you deal with certain family members and you don't know what you may say that triggers them. You just don't. And my cousin's one of those, it's like, gets triggered on just about everything. And that's hard because, you don't know which attitude you're dealing with, right? And so every time she calls, it's like, "Oh, uh-oh," you know? But the great thing is that what had to be done was she had to speak to other parts of the family because I wasn't giving her a straight answer. Because to be quite honest, I really didn't want to have my dad on up here because I'm just trying to get things back on my feet. And it's not to say that I no, he was not going to be coming on up. But here's the thing. I had already given my dad, extended my dad an invitation, and he just didn't want to be up here. He already told me this. Look, I don't really like being here in Tampa. He had grown up in Broward County, Fort Lauderdale area, and he enjoys living in that area. So I said, okay. And then when my cousin had opened up her home for my father, I said, all right, I appreciate it. And we all had stated, look, this was just going to be a temporary thing because of some things that we were working out. So that was a whole issue. But it was also some things that was going on that she had with um, our aunts. And over this course of time, between Thursday and Saturday, there was there was a lot of confrontations going on. And these were good confrontations because a lot of the air was able to be cleared. And I mean, when I'm saying like these folks that weren't speaking and hadn't spoken like almost 2 decades. Almost 2 decades. And so as that happened, there was actually a lot of healing and a lot of restoration. And it wasn't going to come all at once because there's still a level of, distrust and things there. But this is the very first time that the family was beginning to be on one accord, at least on that side. And so when I thought about the family being on one accord, have to think about the overly extended family, which is Israel, which is Yasharal. Yeah, and Gary, don't think I didn't notice you. I definitely appreciate the support from Friday. Oh yeah, I said, Father, I said, I thank you for all of these spiritual bullets being shot my way. Excuse me. Because I was getting it from my aunts, I was getting it from my cousin, I was getting it from my dad, because I'm the level-headed one and the mediator. And all I do is just, so tell me what happened, and I let them just talk themselves. I've learned to do that. Just if a woman is talking, just let her talk. Don't ask no questions. Was that it? Was that everything? That's all I say. Is that it? Is that everything? Just let them keep talking. Let them keep talking. I said, and all I say is, all I can do is pray for the situation. I just do the cheapest cop out excuse. Well, I'm gonna keep everybody up in prayer. That's all. That's all the Most High. Then I get off the phone and I'm saying, Father, you have to handle this foolishness. I said, because if I do, it'll get worse. Because I put my foot in the mouth plenty of times with my family, plenty of times. I put my foot in my mouth plenty of times with my cousin because I had to learn very often. Her and I are very much alike, so we will tell each other our minds. And I told my mind too much to her one time. She didn't call me for like 3 months. She was mad. She was mad. I'm like, well, and then she came back, oh, cousin Cass, I'm sorry. I'm like, look, I said I shouldn't have said some things also, because my mouth gets me in trouble too. But we came to that understanding, and then we just had to keep moving. You gotta keep moving. Life goes on. But it's one of those things because generationally speaking, we all go through things, and when there's something that's getting ready to happen that's substantial, there's always a clash that goes on. And when that clash goes on, and then win, we win because we're always going to win because we're always covered under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. So when we're walking and moving and talking in Him, well, guess what? That's where the victory is at. And as we declare the victory that the enemy is not able to have, all the enemy can do is just try to hinder you from possessing your victory. You're going to get the victory because the victory's already been ordained. And so I'm going to bring this on in there. Shout out to Brother Ron for Truth Unedited. And let me explain this thing to you. If you hadn't seen Truth Unedited's video of understanding Israel, you know, it was interesting because his platform was very, very neutral, which is fine. But the reality is now when the Holy Spirit was moving on him in the direction where it was going, it's one of those things. You're always going to move towards Israel. You're always going to move towards Yasharah. You're always going to move towards the people. And as you move towards the people, guess what? You're going to encounter opposition. You encounter opposition within your own family because why? Because this is something that's been done. It is a 400 plus year brainwashing that we are told to hate others and even ourselves. And you can see the amount of self-hate in our entertainment, in our music, and anything that has a quote unquote following, because everyone has to have some sort of crazy tattoos. And I'm not condoning people having tattoos, but I'm just saying when you don't even know what things you're putting on your body, that's craziness. And I know not everybody's gonna be in this awakening when they had their tattoos and stuff like that, but when you literally are trying to cover every square inch of your body, or you're trying to do all these things that grotesquely mutilate your body, then you realize, especially the anything not natural, right? If you have to put blonde or anything else in your hair, yeah, that's a clear tall tale sign to me. I'm gonna say to me that you have been fully indoctrinated into the spiritual butt breaking process. And your self hate is real and evident. You don't have to be Anton with the duck shoes. Well, why don't you like it? Because I was taught to hate us. I was taught not to like us. I was taught these things. And that's the whole thing. We get taught these things because invariably we actually get taught a lot of these things sometimes in our own household. And now what makes us quote unquote weird is that we're breaking the self-hate. And see, you don't have to be a rocket scientist, and white people see this. This is why, if you didn't understand why these white folks went crazy about CRT, because here's the thing. They didn't want to understand their history because then that promotes a loathing and a self-hate. Because why? Because they had to deal with unjust weights and the deal and getting things in an unjust fashion. They had to deal with Habakkuk chapter 2. They had to deal with establishing a city on blood. They had to deal with getting ill gains and what that does for those generations to come. The generations of that judgment of those ill gotten gains, that's coming to a head. And as that's coming to a head, no, they were not going to, you know, have self-hate. Well, the thing is, remember, they're about to enter their captivity, and when that happens, oh, don't even think about the era of World War II. Remember, where they're going to be in captivity, it's going to be even worse for them. Oh, look at what you did to destroy the whole world. That was your people. And because your people destroyed the whole world, your people have to pay us back. Because why? Because we paid the debt that you owe to Israel. So now you pay us back perpetually. They actually understand what this end game is going to look like. See, they had the end game perpetuated on Germany, and they don't want to be how Germany was back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. They don't want to be the Germany that just got through paying back all of its billions of dollars 4 or 5 years ago. They don't want to be the ones that's always continually on the hook or, being fleeced down. Hey, well, remember what you did for 400 years? Well, yeah, you can't even begin to pay it back. So this is perpetually. You're always going to be under our thumb. You're always going to, and what does that do? Well, guess what? That fulfills prophecy. Yeah, we had to pay your debt back here in Europe with all the blood, sweat, and tears, with everything that you stole and ravaged. It's going to be quickly determined that everything that happened with slavery, with transatlantic slavery, even before America was even quickly America, they're going to say it was all those folks there. Because we know what and how this thing goes. Do you want to know why? Because they've already produced the standard. If you've already produced the standard, you're just going to go off of the same standard. But we have to understand we know this road that we're traveling on. Do you understand that's literally why it's called the awakening? Because why? You can see. Your eyes are open, you are coherent to what's happening around you. And people get mad because you're coherent. Well, this is what's going to happen, and that's what's going to happen, and this is going to happen, and that's what's going to happen. Oh, okay. So now they're figuring things on out a little bit slower than us, and we're like, all right, we're about 5 or 6 years ahead of you. You're literally just catching up, and you really didn't understand just how how far behind you were in this. And it's a shame for them because a lot of them say, "Well, you know what? I didn't think I was realizing I didn't really understand what I was seeing. I didn't, pay attention, or I saw it, but I couldn't figure these things on out." I said, "Well, that's because the enemy did a good job of confusing us." And this is why they hate channels like this. They hate these ministries that talk to them, that explain to them. I don't need to go and convince anybody. I've already told you this. So when I have, the detractors and everything else when they come through on Fridays, I don't know why they love coming through Fridays. It's like, your week is winding down. Brother Carrots won't come through on Friday, right, right before Shabbat. And then they want to go to town. And, I look at it like this. No, 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 no. I'm not going to try to defend myself or defend my position or something else like that. No, I'm going to tell you this. You pray about it. What do you think? What do you think? I think that you need to pray about it because my opinion does not affect your salvation, spiritual or physical. If what you feel is in your carnal wheelhouse, then guess what? Pray about it. But as for me, I'm gonna still stay up on this wall, and I'm gonna still fix the big old deep gaps and rifts that's here in amongst us because those rifts are still getting amongst the people. The garbage and the junk is still flowing amongst the people. And guess what? It's going to take a lot of us to be able to fix the gaps and fix the repairs. And see, the thing is that when this thing goes on, all we're going to be doing is, okay, we got enough of a fix, we got enough of the gap, and then guess what? We're going. If you know who you are and you know what we've been doing, if you know what we've been seeing, if you understand what we've been exposed to, then guess what? When you understand when the Father says it's time to move, it's drop everything and get to where you need to go. And it's one of those things that you can't explain. Why am I leaving here? I told I needed to leave here. I didn't even shut my front door. Matter of fact, I didn't even lock my front door. I just grabbed a few belongings in a bag and I left. And the Holy Spirit said, just meet me here. Did the Holy Spirit tell you something? Yeah, it was a voice. I don't even know why. It just said, meet me here. We're going to be going through things that's going to be supernatural, and it's going to be so supernatural they're going to try to say, well, the next time we have to go through any type of this exodus or any type of this greater exodus from any other people, well, we're going to squash that because we're going to have brain chips and neural links placed in people's heads, and that therefore it'll be continuous slavery. You're looking at the technology that they're going to try and implement in less than 5 years. Very sad. And a lot of them don't even realize that is going to be chattel slavery because you won't even own your own body, just like chattel slavery. But the worst thing about it, you won't even be able to own your own thoughts. That's 1984. That's something very draconian. You can't even own your own thoughts. How am I in this hell? Why are we placed in this hell? And then you have somebody pop into your mind like a screen with a monitor and a pop-up. What are these thoughts here? These thoughts are not congruent to section blah blah blah, article blah blah blah, under the new UN blah blah blah. Any more infractions of this thought will lead to swift administrative action. And all the while, they're there in their little factories, working from sun up to sundown, not even getting any type of sleep. Because why? Because their body's doing one thing while their mind's trapped doing another. That is the definition of demonic possession. And they're trying to glorify demonic possession right in front of our faces. You tell me if it's not. That your body can't do what your mind is telling it to do. That's demonic possession. I don't care what you all say. When they're smoking that meth and they're going all crazy, that is a demonic possession because why? They've opened themselves up for that demon to be in them. So go ahead and try to shake somebody out of their high, right? When they're posing like a crazy sculpture of all sorts, back all creaked up, legs all tensed up, heels all raised up, looking like they're doing a bad picture of a smooth criminal, all sorts of contorted. Go ahead and try to get them out of their demonic possession. Go ahead and try to get their water on them. Try to get them into a coherent state. You won't be able to, and they'll start fighting you because why? Because those demons will start lashing out at you. Those demons will start lashing out at you. Yes, exactly. Those bath salts. They'll start where people were their faces were getting bitten off, eaten off. So imagine that this is now on the horizon for them. That's why the word says this place was going to be a haunt of demons and every unclean bird. Because it's going to be so much demonic activity. We're not just prepping for the demonic activity. Now, this demonic activity is now everyone is a container. You're not just a legion. It won't be one person with the legion. No, no, everybody's going to be legion. Everybody's going to have a demon. And the crazy thing is, you think that them zombie movies and them Walking Dead movies, is something that's just because they're dead. No, no, no. This thing is they're going to be alive, and then that demon's just going to roll everybody on up in like a big old ball because that's what they're choosing. See, the question is going to really be in this day and age coming up very shortly, will you choose life or will you choose death? And that question is going to be made not just for Israelites, but also for Gentiles. I'm sorry, I was literally going to read in the Nehemiah chapter 9. Well, I'm just going to read this. Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 30. Yet many years didst thou forbear them and testified against them by thy spirit and thy prophets, yet they would not give ear, Therefore gavest thou them into the hands of the people of the lands. Nevertheless, for thy great mercy's sake, thou didst not utterly consume them, nor forsake them, for thou art a gracious and merciful Elohim. So we are not all the way consumed because he is a gracious and mighty Elohim. Isn't that sad that you have to say, look, it's not that it's just an awakening, it's this. We're not all the way consumed, we're not utterly forsaken. We're the not forsakens. Or maybe we're the not forsakens. However you want to. Are you awakened? No, I don't really want to use awaken. I'll just say, look, I'm not utterly consumed and I'm not forsaken. Oh, that's gonna get people mad. What do you mean not utterly consumed and not forsaken? No, no, utterly consumed by your nonsense. That puts things into a different dynamic. But these are those ranging subjects and these ranging topics that we're seeing because the storm is over us right now. And I see it in the comment sections, I see it in the Facebook posts, I see it all around. These storms are raging. The spiritual storms, physical storms, but you have to be able to realize who's in control. Storms do have to clear away the brush. Storms do have to clear away the wicked. How many times we see this in the scriptures where the storm comes through and then the wicked gets swept away? The only people that really need to be scared are the wicked, in my opinion. That's why here I'm like, all right, I'll just get me some water. Just be prepared for, the electricity to go down, internet to go down. I'm gonna crack open a window and I won't be all right. It's the wicked that are always fearful. Oh man, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So let the Most High be the Most High. That's it. Because he is always a gracious and merciful Elohim for those that call upon him. So yeah, family, that's all I had. I didn't really get much sleep last night, and I probably won't be getting much sleep this week. Hallelujah. But we continue to press on towards the mark because I guarantee you the Most High is about to use whatever Florida is about to go through for something a little bit more than just a storm. I guarantee you. Because we look at this thing carnally as a storm. I look at this thing as, wow, there's probably going to be a lot of wicked people getting swept away in this. You know, and I hate to say it, it's like, would this thing end up being worse than a Katrina? And you have to remember, if it does become worse than Katrina, then they'll never let you know. No, they won't. They won't let you know. And then what the banks will do, they'll recruit the homes, and then you just have a whole bunch of empty homes. You have a lot of empty homes here in Florida. Don't let people um, don't let the people tell you any less. There's a lot of empty homes. There's actually a lot of all right. There's so much more homes that's owned by the bank than what you have on the market because if they were to put all the homes that the bank owns on the markets, then guess what? It would create an imbalance in the supply, and therefore, all the homes that would be listed would then drop by like 75%. The home prices would literally drop by 75%. So they're trying to create a fake demand because they don't want to tell you all of the homes that are still sitting here. That they're still being maintained by the bank. It's just that they'll be lights out. It's a bank property. Oh, who owns that? Who pays the taxes for it? It'll be like Bank of America or Berkshire Hathaway, one of those. That's what happens. So imagine if this comes through and then it wreaks havoc on everything and, a lot of these homes. Well, a lot of these homes just wouldn't be rebuilt. Because why? Because they may be empty because they've already been sitting empty. So then what happens to your neighborhood when you just have a home that's still all ripped up and messed on up? Well, that neighborhood then becomes an eyesore. And then things just start falling apart because then you start doing what? You start seeing all the animals and all the vermin that's infested that house, and then pretty soon they'll infest other people's homes. These are secondary effects. They don't want to tell you about this. And all of a sudden, you could have had folks didn't have to worry about, oh, they have to be qualified buyers and stuff like that. No, no, no. The problem is, see, when you have a system of racism, the system of racism, it collapses. It's going to collapse itself, but it collapses itself through time. This is what the Most High is doing. He's collapsing the system. So now, when this material isn't found because everybody's trying to build up the materials, and then now homes have to be then completely gutted, all you're going to find is just lots. And guess what's going to start look? Guess what Florida will start eventually looking like? It'll start looking like Detroit back in the 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. It'll start looking like that. It'll start looking like Camden. It'll start looking like parts of Baltimore. It'll start that's the whole game. Oh, well, we got to build more and more and more. Well, the problem is they don't have the materials to do all that building. So guess what they have to do? Now they have to stay where they're at, and that becomes the issue. Yeah, no, they do artificially control the housing market. Yeah, I learned that from Brother Robert. Remember, he is a real estate broker. He's still a real estate broker. Doctrine shaky. He's still a good real estate broker. So if you're still looking for a house, I still do advertise for him. Just shaky doctrine, but great when it comes to real estate. So I'm not knocking that. I don't ever knock that because I got taught some things in terms of how that goes. And so that's how this goes. So that's all I have, family. And I gotta get my day started because pretty soon it'll go like to in a matter of a day. Oh, man. But yeah, no, that's really what they're so afraid of. Don't think it's because of, oh, it's loss of life. Oh, it's, catastrophe. No, they're literally are like, if these homes get damaged, then that means potentially only 70% of the homes are going to be built back. And then the other homes, there's no longer going to be any structures. Because why? They were already sitting empty to begin with. That's the most calamitous thing because then the HOAs will be suing these companies to have a house built on those slabs. You see what I'm saying? So then all the oh, I thought that these homes were actually lived in. No, these homes weren't lived in. Well, how come they weren't on the market to bring the housing prices down? Because that's the sham, that's the game. But again, that's going to bite them in the butt because now you see a storm that's getting ready to bite their to blow up their plans, to blow up their sham. You're telling me that we didn't have to have all these apartments. We could have had this and that. We could have, rented out these homes. We could have did this. We could have did that. Yeah, you actually could have. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Chantel Smith, Sister Chantel. Yeah, that is what they do. They want to accumulate things, and it's not for the purpose of anybody's benefit. It's actually for the purpose of really their destruction. Because when you think you have everything, and then it just gets blown away. Well, here's the problem. You may not have what it may cost to actually restore things. Oh, and let me tell you, remember there is a supply chain issue here in the United States. Now they may have enough for new homes, but not to restore old ones. And remember, look, you can only the HOAs will only sue for so long until they'll do what? Until they drop the lawsuit. And HOAs, if you didn't know, those are homeowners associations, and they have a lot of them there in Florida. If you're buying in any type of a community here, you'll have a homeowners association, and that's just to make sure that your house looks good, the property standards, just to make sure that nobody has a junkyard in their house. They don't want no Sanfords and Sons. Okay, that's dun, 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 dun. roll up into your roll up into your driveway and be like, "Dun, dun, 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 dun." Oh man, because I never really understood that too, and we have people that do that in the hood too. They like to hoard stuff too. They be hoarding stuff too in the hood. It's just that when you see those hoarders shows, we hoard stuff on the outside. Them right there, they hoard their stuff on the inside. Don't even let me get started on them hoarder horrors. Hoarder horrors. That's why sometimes you don't be going into people's homes. Oh my goodness, my brother could tell you some stories for days. Because he used to work with Hillsborough County. That's Tampa, actually, the county that Tampa's in. And he would tell you about having to visit these trailers around here. Oh my goodness. He said, "Look," he said, "I had to get, like, those little mop gears, those little, EPA gears." He said he would come home sometimes, and he would just have to burn the clothes that he had on his body. I said, "You didn't know you were keeping the law, right? You went to some place that could defile you, and you done burned them clothes and sat outside your house. I gotta sit outside the camp for at least 7 days. I can't be in there. Let me just use a hose and a kiddie pool. Decontamination." I'll come back in tomorrow morning. When you've been some places that filthy, it's like, yo, I can't even step in my own home. That place was so dirty that if I step in my own home, I might as well just get a box of matches and set my place on fire and just rebuild. Y'all know what we're talking about. Where you just in a place, it's like, I'm just gonna throw these clothes away. Just give me a towel. I just need to proceed straight to the shower. Just give me. I'm not going to use any any soap. I just need industrial strength cleaner. Just pour the Lysol on my body with the scrub brush. With you know what I'm talking about? Them thick bristles. Be getting out of the shower half bleeding. I'm not clean enough. I'm not clean enough. Oh man, y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know. Now he would be scared. He'd be scared. It's like, look, it's like I don't know if I'd be in those places and I bring home lice or some other stuff. It's like because he used to do Department of Children Family Services, so and they would joke about it too. They called themselves the baby snatchers. I said, that's a shame. That's a shame. It's like, but it said, yeah, it was pretty bad. But when you see the conditions that a lot of these kids have lived in, it said you can't even fathom it. You can't even imagine it. So that's what this place has to look forward to. And if if I have internet connection after Wednesday, I may try to do a live, but I really don't know. That's the whole thing. I really don't know. So as this storm approaches, as the world turns, as the storm approaches. Yeah, but that's it, family. I was gonna throw down on some Nehemiah chapter 9, but we'll go from there. Hallelujah. Most High will, and I'll be back on tomorrow. I gotta get ready. See what these folks gotta say. You know, go on from there. Hallelujah. So with that said, family, shalom, salama, siyemi, shalom, peace and blessings, Israel.